I think I got this thing to work with the TV. Uh, we'll see how this goes. I gotta be honest with you guys. I'm certainly starting to miss being in the classroom with you all. I hope you all doing well, right? I know I'm getting some antsy for summertime. I know this weekend was fantastic, but we're gonna continue today with going through our New Testament text that Brother Patrick had put together for us. And this new section here that we're going to look at is the teachings on the authority that Jesus talks about. And I think what's at the key issue here for a lot of us is that we don't like authority. We don't like other people telling us what to do. We like to do what we want. And I think that's really what's at heart in the book of Genesis when Adam and Eve eat the fruit. They didn't like that God told them what to do. They didn't like that somebody else other than themselves was kind of in charge, so to speak. And so these statements kind of become tough because, when my kids, I find it hard all the time, right? Like, I never try to tell them because I said so, right? When I say to my son, like, no, you can't go ride your ATV. He's got one of those Power Wheels ATVs. It's like, no, you can't go ride that in the street right now. And he goes, why? The easiest way for me to say, because I said so, right? Just listen to me. Right? I have good reasons, but I try not to because I try to explain to him why the reasons. Because I can't be out there to watch you ride in the street, and if a car comes, you could get hit, something could happen to you. I care about you. I love you, right? Whereas for like the little kids, they focus so much on, I want to do what I want to do. And so they don't like authority. And I think we are like that. We don't like authority. We don't like other people telling us what to do. We want to do whatever we want to do. All right, and so Jesus is going to use a few stories here in Matthew's gospel to kind of highlight these teachings on authority. So we're going to start over on the bottom left-hand column with the parable of the two sons, right? The parable of the two sons. I think you guys, this is in backwards. I don't know. If this is backwards in the video, I give up. I give up. I don't know what's going on, right? If this is backwards, but it is what it is. All right. So notice here, this story as a young boy always kind of struck me because I was always like, what boy was I? Which son was I in this story? Right. So what is your opinion? Jesus says a man has two sons. The first came and said, "Son, go out and work in the vineyard today." The son said in reply, "I will not," but afterwards changed his mind and went. The man came to the other son and gave him the same order. He said in reply, "Yes, sir," but didn't go. Which of the two did his father's will? Think about that, right? So a man has two sons. He says to the first son, "Go out and mow the lawn." And the son's like, "Absolutely not. I'm not mowing the lawn. This is ridiculous. Make somebody else do it." But as he kind of walks away, he's feeling bad. He's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I'm just going to do what God asked. I'm going to do what my father asked. I'm going to go mow the lawn. Whereas the other son is like quick to jump up and say, "Yes, yeah, Dad, you got it, no problem. I will mow the lawn. You can count on me," but never actually does it. All right, and you see the problem here is that although in the end, right, and this is where Jesus is going with in the story is which one of these did the Father's will? The first one, right? The son who initially said no, but then does the will of the Father in the end. Right, whereas the first son is just giving the father lip service, right? Kind of telling the dad what he wants to hear to get him off his back, right? Will you empty the dishwasher? Yeah, I'll do it. Leave me alone. Let me just finish this Fortnite board battle level game. Let me get my new skin or whatever you guys do with Fortnite. I don't get it. Right? Just tell them whatever they need to hear to leave you alone, but then you never actually go and do it, right? Which one does the will? Well, the answer obviously is the first one. But both of them have problems with the authority, right? You see, the first son doesn't respect the father for what he's asking him to do, right? If you go over to the commentary down at the end, right, it says, oops, I went too far, right? And the first son, he argues with the will of his father, right? He argues, "Dad, I don't want to do the will," but eventually he does. Whereas the second son doesn't agree with the authority of his father by saying, I'll actually, follow through and do what you want, right? And so what Jesus is calling to mind here in this parable with the two sons is first and foremost is that when we look at this son, right, the first son is meant to be kind of like those sinners, The people who started off in a bad place, started off not doing what God has asked, but in the end will repent and convert and turn their life, right? And the second son, the one who says yes, 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 but then never does it, that's kind of like the Jewish leaders of the day, right? These Pharisees and scribes that kind of hold their head up high and stick out their chest and think that they're better than everyone else. Kind of looking back to the story that Mr. O'Brien spoke about yesterday with the Pharisee in the temple while he's praying, Lord, thank God that I'm not like that tax collector back there. So which son are you? Are you the one that gives God lip service? Yeah, God, yeah, I'll do what you want. Just, I'll show up or I'll believe what you want. Or are you the one who actually kind of is questioning your faith, arguing about your faith so that you can understand your faith better, so that you can grow. All right, next story here. Right? This is the parable of the tenants. This is a great story. And it's absolutely an allegory for what God is trying to teach us in the history of Jesus. Right, with salvation history. So notice how it starts. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard and put a hedge around it, dug a wine press in it, and built a tower. All right, so he builds this vineyard. He puts a hedge to keep people out, like a fence, a tower to watch over it to make sure that nobody can get in and steal it, and he builds a wine press so that they can take the wine, the grapes, and make wine. All right, so this vineyard could be profitable. He's going to hire some tenants, right, to take care of the vineyard, and then he goes on a journey. All right? Verse 34. When vintage time grew near, he sent servants to the tenants to obtain his produce. But the tenants, the men that the landowner had given the land to in order to take care of it and to graze the grapes, right? The tenants, when they see the servants coming, they seize the servants, they beat one, they killed the other, and the third they stoned. Whoa. Right? It's kind of like the landowner is saying to these tenants, all right, now give me what is owed to me. And they see these servants and they're like, whoa, we don't want to give anything to them, so let's rough these guys up. Verse 36, again, he sent other servants, more numerous than the first, but they treated them in the same way, right? And so what we're seeing here is like this landlord sends these servants, right? Give me what is owed to me. Give me what is owed to me. My master is asking to collect what is owed. Finally, in verse 37, he sends his son, thinking, they will respect my son. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to one another, this is the heir, come let us kill him and acquire his inheritance. So they seized him, threw him out of the vineyard, and killed him. All right, and so let's take a look at that. Right here, this is an allegory for salvation history. This is an allegory for Christ's life. The landowner is God. The servants are all the prophets that have come before. Right? The prophets that have come to preach the word of God, to spread what he would like them to do. And what do the Jewish people do? What do the people throughout the Old Testament do to the prophets? They beat them. They killed them. They stoned them. They cast them out. They wouldn't listen to them. They would constantly turn against God and what he was asking for them to do. So finally God's like, I got it. I'll send my son. Surely they're not going to hurt my son. Surely they're not going to do to him what they did to the servants, because he represents me. He is my son. He is my blood. But the tenants were wicked. And so they say, if we kill the son, we'll inherit the whole vineyard. So they seize the son and they kill him. Right? Now, who are the tenants in this allegory? The tenants, once again, are the Jewish leaders. Right? Those people that think they have authority. Right? You see, because the tenants, right, they don't like the authority of God. And remember, all these passages are about authority. The tenants don't like that God is really in charge. They like to be in charge, right? People that have power don't like to give up power. All right. So what happens in verse 41, right? Right, so verse 39, they see 40, verse 40, got it all. What will the owner of the vineyard do to the tenants when he comes? They said in verse 41, he will put those wretched men to a wretched death and lease his vineyard to other tenants. And Jesus said to them, did you ever read in the scriptures that the stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone? You guys ever see that like kind of imagery? When you build something, right, there's always one stone that is like the most important stone that is going to hold it all together. right? Like when you do Legos in the basement with the kids, right? There's always that one Lego that you stick on there that's going to hold everything below it kind of in place. So that then you can build up taller, continue to make something, right? When you make an archway, right, you build an arch, right, you stones, you keep going and going and going. The arch is very unstable. When you put that middle stone in, it's capstone, right, or the cornerstone, everything else kind of sits in place. It becomes the most important stone for the whole foundation. And when this passage says that the stone which the builders have rejected, the teachings of God which people have rejected, have become the cornerstone, which we thought were worthless, is actually the most important. Okay? And that's when Jesus goes on to say, right, therefore I say the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people that will produce its fruit. All right. Here we go. Next thing on, parable of the wedding feast. Almost exactly the same as the one with the tenants. This whole idea of God had sent his word initially to the Hebrew people, to the Jewish people. They were his chosen race, and yet they have rejected him. All right? And so in this parable of the wedding feast, it says a king was throwing this huge wedding feast for his son, and he dispatched servants to summon the invited guests to the feast for them to come. But they refused. Think about that. You're getting married. You send out invitations, and everybody says, I ain't coming. You send a car to their house to pick them up to come to the wedding, and they still say to the limo driver, I ain't coming. So you send a second limo, right? In verse 4, a second time he sent out other servants saying, tell those invited, behold, I have prepared my banquet, my calves, my fattened calves are killed, and everything is ready. Come to feast, right? So you send out a second limo to pick your guests up and say, yo, we got lobster tail, we got calamari, we got everything. We got the little prosciutto, we got the carving stations, the prime rib with a little blue cheese butter on it, right? Like everything you could want in the wedding feast is here. Come on, just hop in the limo and go. But the people say no, right? Some ignore the invitation and went away, one to his farm, another to his business. The rest laid hold of his servants, treated them and killed them. Right? So not only do I say no to the limo driver, I kill the limo driver as a way to say, get out of here. I don't want any part of this wedding feast. The king is enraged, sent his troops to destroy those murderers and burnt their city. Then he said to the servants, right, the feast is ready, but where are the invited guests? Right? Go out therefore into the main yard and invite everybody. So when nobody shows up to my wedding, all right, all my invited guests, no one shows up, I got all this food that needs to be eaten. I'm not going to throw it out in the garbage. I'm just going to walk out in the street and say, hey, let's go. Everybody who wants in, come on in. Free food, right? Free lobster, free carving station, free prime rib, free blue cheese dressing, right? Salads, everything you can with the works. Come on in, just free. Just got to show up, right? Next part of it. Now this is where things get intriguing, right? This is where things are interesting, right? The servants go out, they gather everybody, and they bring them in. The king came to greet the guests, and he saw a man there not dressed in a wedding garment. It's like, no, duh. Of course he's not going to be dressed in a wedding garment. He was out in the street. He wasn't even invited. But what does the king do? He says to that one man, my friend, how is it that you came in here without a wedding garment? And the king said to his attendants, bind his hands and feet and cast him into the darkness. Whoa. Why is this guy who seemingly wasn't even invited gets into the wedding feast and then is thrown out? You see, because when you show up to the wedding, even though you weren't invited, you still need to be dressed appropriately. Right? Once again, this parable is a story about the authority of God. God sends his prophets before his son, Jesus. He sends them all to teach the people about the word and about the commands that he would like, and to invite them to the wedding feast of heaven. And how do the invited guests, the people of Judaism, respond? The people of Israel respond? They kill the prophets. They beat the prophets. They ignored the prophets. They turned their ways away from God. They worship foreign idols. They puff up their own chests and say, by my own strength I have saved me. All right? And so God says, all right, fine, let's bring some other people in. Let's extend who is welcome in the kingdom of heaven. But you see, the garment, the wedding garment, is our soul. You see, right? Salvation is welcome from God to everybody, but we have to make sure that we dress appropriately for it. Right? We have to make sure that we keep the wedding garment of our soul clean so that we are welcome in heaven. All right, next passage here, right, is the this one about paying taxes to the emperor. This is an intriguing one here. All right, so here we go. The Pharisees went off and plotted how they might entrap Jesus. This is a trap. This is a trap, a bold-faced trap. Jesus, be careful, watch out. They're coming. It's just a trap, right? You're going to see another trap when Mrs. York teaches about the woman caught in adultery. I think she's going to do that Thursday. Maybe it might fall Brother Pat next Monday. But anyways, it's coming up. But here's a trap, right? They bring a coin to Jesus, right? And they say to him, right, we know that you are a truthful man and you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth, right? Yeah, so they're just kind of patronizing him. We know that you're a holy guy, right? And you are not concerned with anyone's opinion, for you do not regard persons' status. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it lawful to pay the census tax to Caesar or not? So, hey Jesus, is it lawful for us to pay taxes to Caesar? This is a trap. If Jesus says, no, you don't have to pay taxes to Caesar, guess who gets mad? The Romans. Right now, all of a sudden, Jesus is promoting tax evasion. And the Romans are going to come say to Jesus, come on, let's go. You're out. If, however, right, he says to them, no, you don't need to pay the taxes. All right. If he says no, if he says yes, you do need to pay the taxes. Now the Pharisees are going to charge him with being unfaithful to Israel, because the Romans, remember, were this like outside dominant force that is kind of taken over. So Jesus says, all right, give me a coin. Whose face is on the coin? Right? Whose image is this and whose inscription? They replied, it is Caesar's. And then he said to them, to repay to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. Hi, Johnny. What belongs to God. John, my son, just came in from riding his bike. And to give it to God what belongs to God. Right? And so Jesus right here with this, not only does he escape the trap, but he kind of sticks it right to the Pharisees. You want to say hi? Come here. You got to come back here so they can see you. Say hi. Hi. Say hi, everybody. Hi. All right. Go ahead. Let me finish. Right. So he says to them, all right, well, yeah, that the image on that coin is Caesar's. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Oh, you want to show them Hulk? All right, hold on. We're going to show you Hulk. Here you go. There's Hulk. Here's Hulk. All right? Hulk smash. All right, go ahead, buddy. Get out of here. Gecko. And Gecko. All right. He's a little. Yeah, he is a little guy. All right, be careful. You don't want to knock my iPad over. My iPad is being bounced right now on the toy kitchen set that we have here. So that's what's going on. All right, go. I got to finish. I got 2 more minutes. All right, and so what he says, if you look down in the commentary below, right, he's basically saying to, make sure that we give to the government what we ought to. We ought to show authority and respect for those in authority over us. But we also need to make sure that we do what God has asked for us as well. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to God what belongs to God, right? And he's once again attacking the Pharisees because the Pharisees had kind of taken the place of what should have been given to God instead. All right? Right, I think about authority. And with authority, the thing that struggles for me with authority is really the obedience aspect of it, right? Because obedience is not just simply doing what somebody asks you to do. That's easy. Empty the dishwasher. Okay. Right, take out the garbage. Okay. Do section 75 for homework tonight. Okay. That's not obedience, right? Obedience is more than just listening to what the other person tells you to do. Obedience is actually uniting your will to the wills and the desires of the person that is in authority over you. All right? It's to the point where you say, like, I want that also. So when your parents say to you, empty the dishwasher, you don't just say, okay, and go do it. But it's like I want to empty the dishwasher. I want to do that for you, right? I want to do the homework tonight for you, Mr. Moran, right? And submit that on time, right? That's kind of what we're learning about with authority here. So those are just a few teachings about the authority, right? I think a lot of us struggle with being told what to do in our lives, but Ultimately, it's a reminder of humility, right? Humility. There's something else greater than us, right? I've always said this before, right? Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less often. I'll say that again. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, but thinking of yourself less often. All right, guys. I'm going to leave you with that. Have a wonderful activity day tomorrow, and I'll see you guys soon after the Memorial Day weekend. See you later.